Welcome to SBA practice session based on recent recalls. So this session is special.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening, very good evening. Yeah, good to have you all here. All okay? Ready?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Good. Very good. So this is going to be a very important session. We are going to do 30 questions, right? And this will be a slightly different session from our previous sessions. Now you all have to volunteer. One person has to take up the question and you will read and you will answer and give your explanation. Then we will discuss about it, right? Whether the answer is correct or what could be the other possible confusions in this question. And we will be also discussing about the points related to that particular question. And this is all from the 2023. So very recent ones. Okay. So
Okay, ma'am.
ready? Start. Let me start.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Who is going to volunteer the first question? Anyone? Yes. Nobody? We have 30 questions to. Yes.
I'm a little bit worried, but okay, it's okay, ma'am. You are with
That's okay. That's fine. Nothing. It's not about worrying. It's just to give you a practice. Like
Yes, ma'am.
you have to read and answer. So it's a good practice actually. Right?
Okay.
And nobody is judging you. We are here learning, right? So no
Yes.
issue. Yeah. So here is your first question.
Midwife activates red alert in labor room. Noted shoulder dystocia. What is the first appropriate step? It's rapid. Actually, ma'am, first step is to ask someone for help and ask patient, don't push. And the important is the microbird manual.
So
It's
right. So what
yes.
is the correct option?
D, ma'am.
Mac Roberts.
D, ma'am.
Mac Roberts menu.
D.
Yes. So everybody okay with that?
Yes.
Yes. Any other answer anybody would like to go for?
No, ma'am.
Fine. Yes. So very good. That's a correct answer. Mac Roberts Manual is the correct answer. Always remember the first step you are going to take is call for help. Many times that could be the answer only, right? So
Yes.
after call for help, next step is the Mac Roberts Manual. After Mac Roberts, it is the suprapubic pressure. But 90% of the cases do respond to Mac Roberts Manual only, right? So call for help and Mac Roberts. What is Mac Roberts Manual?
Hyperflexing the leg.
Hyperflexion at the hip joint and abduction.
Abducting the.
Because sometimes they do not give you the exact term. They might give you what to do in that. So we need to do that also. So basically, Mac Roberts Manual is the flexion and abduction of the maternal hips, right? Flexion and abduction of the maternal hips, positioning the thighs on the abdomen, right? So there is flexion and abduction at the maternal hips. Okay, got it?
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, so after that, there is suprapubic pressure and then further chart goes on. You can do the maneuvers, internal maneuvers, which include the delivery of posterior arm and the internal rotational maneuvers. And finally, you can put the patient in all fours position. For you as a part 1 candidate, two possible answers. One is call for help and another is Mac Roberts. Mac Roberts, 90% of the patients do respond to Mac Roberts Manual only. And what is the Mac Roberts? It is the flexion and abduction of the maternal hips, positioning the maternal thighs on the abdomen. Fine. All well till now?
Yes, ma'am.
Good. Okay, so now who is going with the second question?
Ma'am, I.
Okay, sure. Very good. This is your question.
Patient with primary amenorrhea, normal secondary sexual characteristics, normal secondary sexual LH, FSH, and TSH values given.
Hmm.
Characteristics: blind-ended vagina. USG shows absent uterus. 46XX. The diagnosis will be, ma'am, MRK syndrome. Because the secondary sexual characteristics are normal, all the hormonal profile is normal, and chromosomal abnormality is not present. There is a blind vagina with primary amenorrhea. So there
Yes.
must be absent uterus. So this is MRK syndrome.
Very good. Perfect. Any doubts or any other option coming to mind to anyone? Everybody okay with MRKH?
Correct.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
So this is the correct answer. MRKH is absolutely correct. She is 46XS, so no role of insensitivity syndrome. Congenital adrenal hyperplasia will have hormone levels altered. And Turner's will not have absent uterus. Swears will also have a uterus. So finally, it is the MRKH syndrome. Very good. Okay, third question. Easy one.
20 minutes.
Yes, 20 minutes. I'll take 20
Yes.
minutes.
Yes, speak up. Somebody should speak up a question and then answer.
20 minutes.
Okay.
Yes, who is going to read that?
Half-life of LH is 20 minutes.
Half-life of blue.
Is 20 minutes, okay. And what about the half-life of FSH?
3 to 4 hours.
3 to 4.
Very good. So they both are
3
important.
to 4 hours.
Yes, 3 to 4 hours. So either of one usually appears in exam, okay? Half-life of LH 20 minutes and half-life of FSH is 3 to 4 hours. Now next one. See, they are easy. You all have done them properly.
Ma'am, I shall go again.
Okay, great. So here it is.
Patient came for appointment of amniocentesis. What is additional risk of miscarriage? It is 1%.
Fine.
Very
What about CVS?
1 to 2%.
2%.
Almost 1% for both of them, but CVS is slightly high, right? But for exam point of view, 1% you will choose, right? So
Okay.
either it is CVS or amniocentesis, 1% is okay. Okay. So that's the correct answer. Good. Now next question.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, good.
Ratio of T4, T3 in blood.
14:1.
14 is to 1.
Hmm.
1, ma'am.
Everyone okay with the answer?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
Yes,
Fine.
ma'am.
So yes, correct. This is 14:1. So very, very important question, which repeatedly comes in exams. Yes, next question.
Yes, ma'am. Plasmodium
Yes, ma'am, I'll
species
take.
causing the heaviest burden of malaria, the falciparum species.
Falciparum.
In UK. The question should be
In
about
UK.
UK. Yes.
UK.
So falciparum is the species which causes heaviest burden of malaria. And what is drug of choice for falciparum?
Quinine and clindamycin.
Quinine and
Uncomplicated.
Quinine and clindamycin.
Artesunate if complicated.
Artesunate in complicated and
No, for
quinine.
uncomplicated.
Quinine and quinine.
and clindamycin.
Quinine, drug of choice.
And for the complicated, it is artesunate.
Artesunate.
Yes, correct. And what is the diagnostic test? How do you
Penicillin.
diagnose?
Thin and
Falciparum.
thick line.
Thin and thick smears.
Thin and thick films. Thin and
Thick and thick smear.
so what we read is falciparum. That is the one species which has the heaviest burden of malaria in UK. Then the drugs are we have just talked about, and third thing is the diagnostic test, that is thick and thin smears, right? So these
Okay.
are the points here. And the drug used for prophylaxis?
Mefloquine.
Mefloquine.
Mefloquine. Yes. Next question.
Ma'am, drug of choice is quinine alone or quinine with something?
No, quinine.
Clindamycin.
Quinine plus clindamycin.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
So now here, yes, this question done. Next.
Yes, ma'am, I'll take.
Yes.
Chancrite causative agent is
Hemophilus
Haemophilus
ducrei.
ducrei. A.
Yes. Hemophilus ducrei. Correct. Next question.
Yes, ma'am. Couple intends to know the risk of child developing cystic fibrosis. Mother is a carrier and father is not tested for cystic fibrosis. However, in general population, it has 1 in 25 risk. The risk of child developing cystic fibrosis. Now we can multiply 1 by 4 into 1 by 25 will be 1 by 100, 1%.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So how do we go about it? There is normal risk is 25%. If mother and father both are carriers, then the risk is 25%. But here for father, we do not know what is the possibility. So for looking at the population risk, it is 1 by 25. So 25 multiplied by 1 by 25. So 25 gone, and the answer is 1%. Right? Is it okay with everyone, or shall I solve it here?
Ma'am, please explain once more, ma'am.
Okay, sure. So here it is normally if father and mother both are carrier, then 25% of the children are affected, right? Because this is autosomal recessive. So 25 will be affected, 25% will be not affected, and 50% will be carrier, right? Till now it is okay. So
Yes, ma'am.
25 are carriers. But in this case, they say that the mother is carrier, but we don't know anything about the father. Okay, so when we don't know anything about the father, we have to take the population risk. So population risk is 1 in 25, right? So the risk for the father is 1 in 25. So here, when you do this, 25 goes by 25, and your answer will be 1%. Correct?
Ma'am, when we multiply this 25 into 1 by 25, are we calculating the risk of the father or are we calculating the risk of the child? Now this calculation,
because 25% what we are taking is the risk of the child.
yes.
Ma'am,
If one is a carrier, we will have a 20. If mother and father both are carriers, we have a risk of 25%.
Yes, correct.
And
Now,
if
ma'am,
we,
this
here
question,
we don't know about the father.
yes.
So now the population risk is 25% is a general risk, right, madam?
No, 25% is not the risk. 1 in 25% will be the carrier. 1 in 25 is not 25%.
Okay, 1 in 25 is the population risk.
Yes. Caucasians, in Caucasians, 1 in 25 is the population risk. This question comes with the Caucasian father.
Okay.
Not in all the populations. Like if you look at the Indian population, it is not 1 in 25. Like it is not common here. But in Caucasian population, it is 1 in 25.
Okay, so now when we multiply 25 into 1 by 25, what does that mean, ma'am? I didn't understand this point actually.
Okay, because in 25, we are taking the father as a carrier, 100%, right? Father is 100% carrier, but actually it is not 100%. It is 1 in 25. So we are calculating, we are taking the father's risk, we are removing that 100% and bringing it to 1 by 25. And that way we are calculating the risk for the child.
Ma'am, I have one doubt. Ma'am, what is 25 in this? The things that we are multiplying 1 by 25 is the population risk. And what is 25? How we have
25 is the general, is the risk of getting cystic fibrosis if both father and mother have the positive gene, right? Because it is autosomal recessive. So how do autosomal recessive goes? Father has the gene and the mother has the gene. So all the kids who will get this affected gene will have the cystic fibrosis. So it is autosomal recessive. So 25% will be not affected, 25% will be affected, and the 50% will be carriers. So we are looking at those who are going to get affected. Okay. So affected is 25%. Now in that 25%, it was 100% father had a gene. Okay. That 25% risk is when father is 100% a carrier. But in right now in this scenario, we do not know. The father is not a carrier, but in general, population risk is 1 in 25. So we are taking that risk into account.
Okay, ma'am.
Right?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, that means we are considering that if father might have been a carrier because he's not tested, therefore we are considering if he would have been a carrier in that case.
Yes. So we are taking the general population risk.
Okay, ma'am.
Right?
Yes,
That's
ma'am. Thank
fine.
you.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Shall we move ahead?
Ma'am, here in this question, if the father was also told as carrier, then the risk could have been 25%.
Yes. Then it is
Okay.
25%.
Okay,
Definitely.
okay.
Because in that case, both the parents are carriers. So you will simply follow the
1 in 4 babies will be affected.
So in that case, you will simply follow the autosomal recessive inheritance, right? So according to that, it is 25% affected, 25% not affected, and 50% carrier. So answer will be 25%, right?
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, BRCA1 and BRCA2 mode of inheritance?
Autosomal
Dominant.
Yes, correct.
Dominant.
So now next question. Who is going to take? Nobody?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Good. So here it is.
The presence of salpingectomy for ectopic pregnancy. What is the recurrent rate of ectopic pregnancy? 50%. 15%.
30%.
20%.
5, 15, 30, 10, 20.
20. 30%.
20%.
15%.
So it is basically the 10%, right? 10% is the correct answer. Okay, there is a recurrence rate of ectopic pregnancy is 10%. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
Ma'am, this recurrent rate of ectopic pregnancy is irrespective of the previous treatment.
Yes, this is in general that once if a person has an ectopic, next time the chances of getting ectopic is 10%.
Okay, so it is not related to the previous history whether she had the ectopic or not.
Previous history of ectopic is there, but she had salpingectomy, salpingotomy, or she had methotrexate. That does not matter in this percentage.
Okay, okay, ma'am. Thank you, thank you.
Okay, now this question, who is going to take?
Yes, ma'am, I'm going to take.
Yeah, sure.
Which branch of internal iliac artery can be absent?
Obturator.
Internal.
Obturator.
Hmm. Yes.
Obturator.
Obturator.
Medial rectal artery.
So, obturator is correct answer because obturator can be from the other vessels. So,
Inferior
obturator
epigastric.
is a branch of
Inferior
internal iliac
hypogastric.
artery, although it can be from the common iliac, external iliac, or even it can be from the inferior
Inferior
epigastric.
epigastric.
So, any of these it can happen. So, obturator is one which is very variable branch. Rest all they are the fixed branches, right?
Yes.
Now, this is the mnemonic to remember the anterior division, branches of anterior division of internal iliac artery, because this is the most important thing, and one of the questions do come from the branches of internal iliac artery. So some old uteruses may get prolapsed. So superior vesical artery, O obturator artery, U uterine artery, M is middle rectal artery, G inferior gluteal artery, and internal pudendal artery. Now vaginal artery is also a branch of anterior division, but it can occur many times from the uterine artery, right? So these are the basic branches which are usually there in all the like this is particularly for the females because we are talking about the uterine artery, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so all well till now. Any questions? Fine.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so who is for the next one?
Ma'am, I.
This is for you. Yes.
Most common benign ovarian tumor is mature teratoma, ma'am.
Yes, mature teratoma.
Yes.
No,
What is the
dermoid cyst.
other name? What we call as for the mature
Dermoid.
cyst.
Dermoid.
dermoid.
Dermoid cyst.
Correct. It is the dermoid cyst. Very good. Fine. So correct answer is mature teratoma. Next question. Who is going to do?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Sure. Good.
Largest cell in the body.
Oocyte.
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 Oocyte. And the smallest cell in the body?
Sperm.
Spermatozoa.
Spermatozoa. Okay. So the largest is the oocyte and the smallest is the spermatozoa. Correct. Absolutely correct. Next. Who's going to do? Yes, yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Good. Yes.
Brenner's tumor consists of which type of cell?
Transitional.
Brenner's tumor consists of which type of cell?
Transitional.
Transition.
Yes.
Transitional.
So Brenner tumor consists of which type of cells? It is a transitional epithelium. So very, very important questions. If you haven't read it before, you may make a mistake. So it is better to remember this and go accordingly, right? So transitional is the correct answer. Yes, next.
Urethral.
One by one. Yes.
Urethral orifice present in which space?
Whoever is taking has to speak up loud. Okay. Yes.
Ma'am, urethral is present in which space? It's superficial perineal pouch.
Superficial perineal pouch.
Urethral orifice and superficial perineal pouch.
Deep perineal pouch. Deep perineal pouch. External muscle sphincter and deep transverse perineal muscles.
So urethral sphincter is it in which space?
Deep perineal pouch.
So
Deep perineal pouch.
So the answer will be
Deep perineal.
deep perineal pouch. So urethral orifice is present in which space? It's deep perineal pouch. This is like a question from superficial perineal pouch or deep perineal pouch. has to come in exam for sure. This is the most, like, one of the very important topics which appear in exam. Okay, so we should know the complete thing about it. And I think there was some confusion that day when we were discussing. So this diagram would explain you in a very beautiful way. So basically you can see these spaces as a big burger, right? It's a Big Mac. So there are 3 layers of the bun, and then there are 2 patties inside. Okay, so you can remember it like that. Now here it is skin, superficial fascia, that is the Colles fascia. Now here is the Colles fascia. It is just behind the skin because the Scarpa's fascia of the abdomen is continuing here and it forms the Colles fascia here. Now after
Yes.
this is the membrane here, so which is between these two is the superficial perineal pouch, and between this
Yes, ma'am.
membrane and the superior and the inferior fascia of the urogenital diaphragm, there is a potential space which is known as the deep perineal pouch. Right? Now it is clear. What is the arrangement?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Fine. So now
Yes,
let's see what is there. So bun fascia. Bottom bun is the superficial perineal fascia, which is the Colles fascia, which is continuous with the Scarpa's fascia. Middle bun is the inferior fascia of urogenital diaphragm. And that is the perineal membrane, the anchoring point for the erectile tissues. And then there is a top bun, which is the superior fascia of the urogenital diaphragm. In between the bottom bun and the middle bun, that is the space between the superficial perineal fascia or the Colles fascia and inferior fascia of urogenital diaphragm, this is superficial perineal space. Between the middle bun and the top bun, that is the deep perineal space, right? And posteriorly, all these fascia merge into the perineal body. Fine till now? Any confusion?
No,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Yes,
Okay.
correct.
So now let's look at the structures in the various spaces. So the superficial perineal pouch, that is superficial to the perineal membrane. S, superficial pouch, so everything starts with S. So superficial to perineal membrane, sexually pleasurable structures, because we are saying that 2 erectile tissues are attached here. So crus of Pannis or the clitoris, that is deep to ischiocavernosus, and bulb of Pannis or the vestibule just under bulbospongiosus. They are present in this particular triangle, this particular space. Then there are 4 arteries and nerves, 3 muscles, 2 erectile tissue, 1 gland or duct, right? So 3 muscles we all know: ischiocavernosus, bulbospongiosus, and superficial transverse perineal muscles. Erectile tissue, crus of Pannis or clitoris, and bulb of Pannis or vestibule. Gland or duct is, in females, there is greater vestibular glands, also known as Bartholin glands. This is a very, very important exam point. And then duct of bulbourethral glands in males. Then arteries and nerves are perineal and the posterior. Okay. So perineal artery, posterior scrotal or the labial artery, posterior scrotal or labial nerve, and perineal branch or the posterior cutaneous nerve of thigh. Then coming to deep perineal pouch, there are 2 muscles. One is deep transverse perineal muscles and the other is external urethral sphincter. So that is why we said urethral orifice is a part of the deep perineal pouch. Now glands were there in the superficial pouch in females, while in males this is in the deep perineal pouch, and it is bulbourethral glands. And then here the vessels are deep and dorsal. Right? Is it clear? Any question?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Clear.
Okay, great. Okay, now who is going to take the next question?
Ma'am, in the previous question, urethral orifice, we are not considering it as urethral meatus.
See, urethral meatus will have the sphincter muscles around it, na?
Okay, ma'am.
So that is the point here.
Okay.
Sphincter
that
area 3 is a part of deep perineal pouch, so that will be holding the maximum part of it.